You're welcome to the problem mapping for AI in the oil and gas. And my name is Noel Abdullahi. I'm going to be facilitating this session. It's actually going to be a workshop where we're going to learn from each other. But let me just give you a brief background. First of all, I used to work for Chevron. I worked for Chevron for 20 years. I was doing most of my work was offshore. I worked as a well site geologist and I worked as a stress modeler. And, drilled several wells, especially I don't know if you know the famous Agbami project. I was the lead well site geologist. That field was doing about 250,000 barrels a day at a time. And when I thought it was time to move on to other things, I saw an opportunity in AI. And in 2021, I took a leap of faith and pivoted to being an AI consultant, which is what I do today. And I founded my company called DiscConsult, basically more like an AI agency, where we actually help companies, integrate AI into their business operations. So basically, we build custom AI solutions. We don't build things and sell. We come to you, see what your problem is, and then we go back to the drawing board and build custom-made AI solutions for you to ensure that you are delivering value and your efficiency is at its best. So that's what I do right now. And in the last couple of months, I have been really focused on the oil and gas. And from my research, I came up with a methodology known as the Wellbore methodology, which is a flow or steps in applying in oil and gas in a very systematic way to ensure that whatever it is you are building is something that will be used by the end users. So most of those posts you saw were as a result of that methodology. And those are the things we're going to be doing in our presentation tonight. I'll walk you through how this is done. I hope this is clear to you at this point. If you have any time, anything you don't understand, you let me know. From the feedback I got, we actually had 8 people register for this, and most of them were C-suite executives. And basically, this training is tailored for that audience. And anybody who is attending here this seminar, it means that they know that AI matters. And most of them need a clear, practical path to implementing what works with small teams and limited budgets. And so basically, that's what this workshop delivers. From the feedback we got from the forms we sent for the webinars, the biggest operational challenges that is being seen right now are, number one, practical AI strategies being deployed. So people are curious to understand the practical AI strategies currently being deployed. Then the second thing was using AI for performance measurements and KPIs. That's just trying to automate reporting, basically. And then the other thing, which was an operational challenge, is data quality and geologic workflows. So people are looking for ways to automate subsurface workflows and also improving data quality across the operations. And then the fourth thing is that people are looking for time and operational efficiency, and we hope that we will be able to address, these critical things. Of course, the details will come when I'm able to book discovery call with each of the people that have raised this, and we can walk this with you. So there are 3 modules we're going to go through today. The first module, which is the first thing in the Wellbore methodology, is workflow mapping. If you notice, I've not said anything about AI. I've not said anything about technology because that's not why we are here. We are here to solve problems that will hit the bottom line of oil and gas companies. And then the second model, like I said, is for us to be able to find out where the frictions are. Okay. And what we'll do here is we'll quantify time wasters, and then the last but not the least model is we'll look at the opportunity matrix. So this is an end-to-end of how to discover and how to execute, AI solutions. As it is, from the group we analyze, 45% of them have explored AI but not implemented. So 36% of them are curious, or they are new to AI. So they know AI is coming to the oil and gas, but they need to understand where to start. Okay, so the case study that we're going to walk through will help you to understand how this works. And we have just about 18% from the survey we've done are already implementing AI. So these guys have projects running, and today we would evaluate what's working and find the next high impact opportunity for you. So I'm happy that in our presentation today, we don't have any skeptics in the room, and everyone that is here is ready to act, and they just need the right framework, which is what I'll be presenting to you today. So the AI opportunity in the oil and gas is quite big. This is from a 2025 AI market research. It's about 3.8 billion, and the opportunity is projected to continue to increase annually to about 7.9 billion in 2031. So this is a very huge market. And we have opportunities, especially around equipment, that break down. And for very large facilities, sometimes the cost per hour of unplanned downtime is $500,000. So this is something that I think everyone wants to pay attention to. So most AI projects in the oil and gas, they don't fail because of bad technology. They actually fail because of bad problem definition. So part of what we do with the Welber methodology is defining the problem correctly, having the right diagnosis before anything a technology is talked about. So these kind of design thinking sessions, which we're going to run through one today, are the first things we do. We try to keep it simple and remove all the fluff and just get to define what the problem is first. With the owners of the problem, we want to work with you, and we want to work with you to also build the solution, so that we're not building something that nobody uses because they were not part of the solution. Okay. So why do AI projects fail in the oil and gas? Number one is wrong problem, starting with technology instead of understanding the actual operation. The other thing is wrong metrics, calculating ROI in labor hours instead of equipment economics. You will see this play out once we start doing the exercises, that the magnitude of equipment economics is in times 100 when compared to labor hours. So that is one of the areas that we need to really pay attention to. And then, of course, not involving the end users. And that's why we're having these kind of sessions where we have the real guys who are using this technology. So this is what we do first. This is our approach. We want to meet with the guys who are working. So we want to map how they work, see their workflow, see the process, understand how they work. Anybody who is building a tool for you, that doesn't understand your process is going to build something that you may never use, and want to avoid that. And then, of course, wrong assumptions. The oil and gas is a very old industry, and so we cannot ignore legacy systems, connectivity constraints, and of course the HSE requirements, which is extremely critical. So today's workshop gives us a proven method to avoid every one of these. Okay, like I said, 3 agendas, 3 models today. The first is workflow mapping. This is what I try to emphasize earlier. We need to see how you work. All right. So we're going to be guided through a realistic operator case study, which is Red Rock. This is like a typical oil and gas company, operating in the Permian Basin. Everything that is going to be used are realistic. And then after that, the next step is the friction finders to identify and cost each of these frictions in equipment economics. And then, of course, we'll look at the opportunity metrics where we prioritize and build a realistic roadmap together. So I'll walk us through the case study together first. And then I was anticipating that some people will come here with their own problems, and then we can apply it to your own operations. And so we all learn together and we build together. You can't automate what you don't understand. Because if you automate what you don't understand, you will automate chaos. So the first thing we want to do is to understand how the work is being done. And usually we would like to go to the field and see how these people work and conduct interviews and observe. Oil and gas has several workflows. We have drilling evaluation workflow, completions workflow, HSE workflow. But today, the exercise we're going to do, we're just going to use the drilling evaluation workflow. All right. So first thing, the process gap. Now, every operation has two processes. And I've seen this practically. The one that is on paper, which they call the SOP, and then the one that actually happens. So when we do our workflow mapping, like I said, we want to really see what's been done. We are not asking for your SOP, because the easiest thing for people to do is, so how do you do this? Oh, these are SOP. But most of us know that when the rubber meets the road and we are working, nobody really refers to those SOP. Those SOP is basically for compliance and as a guide. So we always want to capture how things are being done. So SOP says, well, evaluation takes 45 minutes, but it takes 4 hours across 3 systems. That's the reality of the man who is doing the job, right? The SOP says data is in the historian, but you'll find out that half of the data is in spreadsheets. Okay, so the SOP just simulates a perfect situation, but when you get to work, you'll find out that the situation is not perfect. Okay, then the SOP will tell you that hands-off are documented, but a lot of the hands-off are happening via text messages. We used to, have this a lot, when I used to work offshore, and the real deal where the key decisions are made usually is by text messages. Nobody remembers those things when operation kicks off. And then, of course, the SOP says that the process is standardized, but every crew does it differently. When I was on the field and I was being trained as a young geologist, every geologist I was attached to, everyone had his own way of doing things. And, if you learn from somebody and you're having another tower or even another hitch with another person, he tells you this is not how he does his own, so it's very important that all those realities are captured. And the gap is where AI projects die, the process gap. This is actually where they die. And this is actually also where the real opportunity lives. So the process gap is very, very important, right? And basically, there are 3 questions that unlocks everything. You can see how I'm keeping it very simple. When we are doing the workflow mapping, the first question is, what's in your head, not what's in the system. So this reveals tribal knowledge, because there are a lot of things in the system, but people have figured out shorter ways of doing it, and majorly when we have this workflow mapping, we engage with the workers where they are and ensure that we get that tribal knowledge, and with what is going on in the oil industry, where a lot of the old people are about to retire, and new people will be coming in. There's never been a time that this kind of workflow mapping is needed, and so that we can automate that tribal knowledge. So a lot of undocumented ways in which people deliver results, very, very important. So the workflow helps us to capture reality versus what is in the SOP. And then the second question is, what would a new hire struggle with the most? These questions basically unlocks everything because it exposes process complexity and training gaps that automation could address. And then the last question is, where do you spend time that feels wasteful or boring? This identifies the friction points where AI can deliver the highest return on investment. So now we're going to our example, Red Rock Exploration. This is a fictional mid-sized upstream operator. And these numbers are realistic because they were researched. Now, this company produces 8,500 barrels of oil equivalent per day and has 85 employees and has a revenue of about $95 million annually. And it operates about 120 wells across the Permian Basin, and it has active drilling programs. 2 rigs are running and 20 wells a year. And then it also uses third-party mud logging companies like Columbine, which is one of the companies, actually the first company I worked for when I came into the United States, a very good company. I use Columbine on every well, and then production is monitored through SCADA with data in PyHistorian. And usually they have 3 field production engineers, 2 office completion engineers, and 4 well site geologists. And this company does not have an in-house data science team, and most analysis is done in Excel and PowerPoint. Does this sound familiar? Anyone who is in the oil and gas, this is a typical case. And so we're going to map the drilling evaluation workflow. Remember, I told you there are different workflows, but today we'll map the drilling evaluation workflow and see what really happens out there in the field. And all this data that's about the company that I'm presenting to you, you will see how it all comes up when we start doing some calculations. Like I said, it's a practical session. All right. So here we are. This is the Red Rocks drilling evaluation workflow. Now, this workflow has about 6 points. Just like when you're drilling a well, you actually have someone called the mud logger. And so when they start making hole, the samples come up. So he captures all the data and start analyzing the rock. Usually, when you go into the oil and gas industry, it's like that's usually where they hire you, and the first place they want to send you to go so that you can really see how oil is being drilled. So he captures the data, drills the rock, analyzes lithology. The lithology means the rocks, and then the ROP is logged in real time at the well site. And then once he's done, he captures all that data, cleans them up, put them in a report format, and then he sends it out to the operations geologist. But even before that, what happens is that there are usually 2 geologists on the rig, right? One does day, one does night. And you will discover that at the end of every shift, they kind of have like a kind of handover. Those points where, there's handoff, those are very critical places where inconsistencies can happen and time can be wasted. So at the end of the shift, the geologist compiles data into Excel template, emails, and of course, it sends it to their office. Now, this handoff between the night shift and the morning shift, sometimes, depending on the experience of the geologist, this takes about 45 to 90 minutes per shift. And then once that is done, this same data is sent to the office geologist, who is going to review it. And then he will also do some offset well analysis from different databases. That is also going to take some time, about 2 to 3 hours. And then once he's able to look at it, he now reviews how they are drilling, and then he now he now used that information to advise the drilling engineer, who makes the decision on the rig. So they speak on phone and he gives him an update, and based on the update the drilling engineer gets, the drilling engineers will now adjust the drilling parameters usually, and then this discussion can take between 30 and 60 minutes. And then once that happens, and the well is drilled and TD'd successfully, the next thing that happens is completions. There's usually a time gap of about 2 to 3 days for the completions to happen, because the completions engineer will have to get all the different reports from the geologist, from the drilling engineer, from the service providers, the survey, the logs, to be able to plan his completions, so and all these are from different sources, right? This adds another 2 to 3 days. And then finally, the 6th point in this workflow is that this data is now used by the management, right? Like the vice president of operation, to review performance versus AFE. And usually, by the time he's using this data, it's kind of outdated because the real time, they might have made more progress than he used when he analyzed the data to do the comparison between the well performance and the AFE. So what we're just seeing here is a lot of time sinks. So the total cycle time, 3 to 5 days from data capture to management decision. So that's 3 to 5 days. And this is typically what happens in the Permian. So you see all these points from here to here is a handoff. From the geologist in the field to the geologist in the office is another handoff. From the geologist in the office to the drilling engineer, that's another handoff. And then from the drilling engineers to the completions engineer. When we finish drilling, that's like the drilling phase. Then there will be handoff to completions phase, right? So each of these points, handoffs are happening, and majorly, this is actually where a lot of data get lost, and of course, once the data is lost, your decision is no longer data driven. You understand what I mean? The best way for your decision to be data driven is for your data to be as real time as possible, right? So that the decision you are making is in real time. Like we noticed that by the time management is reviewing this, they are almost sometimes 5 days behind or 4 days behind. And whatever it is they are now making their decision on is not very accurate. And all this eventually impacts the well cost. Okay. All right. So this is the first thing in the wellbore methodology. What we just did here, no AI, no technology, just a simple just going through a simple workflow, the drilling evaluation workflow. So once we've identified where the handoffs are, those handoffs are opportunities where we can save time, and also that will be where and improve efficiency. And those are the places where really AI can come in handy when we get there. So you've just done workflow mapping. This is what it's all about. All right, so this is the second module, the friction finder. Notice that we've not mentioned AI, we've not mentioned technology. This is the real work. You have tried, first of all, fix what is broken before you automate. Okay, so the friction finder says, there's this quote here, it says, don't ask what AI can do, ask what friction is costing you. Okay, if you don't ask the right question, you will really not know what to do, and you won't have the bandwidth to be able to make the investment in AI. So never ask what AI can do. Ask what is this friction costing you, and you're going to see how we do that today. These are the things that a lot of leaders don't have, or the questions they are not asking, and they're kind of paralyzed. They can't take action because they are asking what AI can do for them. And really, if you ask that question, you may not really see it. But when you ask, what is my friction costing me? All these places we've had friction, we're going to cost what those friction is. By the time you see that, it now becomes very easy for you to take action and make the necessary investment that is required for you to actually implement the AI solution. Right. So in trying to find the frictions, there are three types of operational friction. Number one is time sinks. Time sinks are things that around manual data entry, repetitive reporting, searching for offset data, and waiting on approvals. In short, it's believed most petrotech spend 70% of their time just data mining, and this is time that they would have used to interpret and really use their knowledge in strategy and other high value impact activities. So this is really a big deal. And then we also have quality risk. What's quality risk? When we have inconsistent interpretation. One person does this interpretation is different from the other person's interpretation. And sometimes this difference in interpretation can lead to a lot of costs, that at the end of the day, maybe even up to the magnitude of $250,000, where we've seen places where just having wrong interpretations, the well wasn't placed properly, and that costs brought a big cost from inconsistent liturgy interpretations. So copy and paste errors, and then missed anomalies, and then undocumented workarounds. So these usually happens when you have inexperienced people, and the quality of deliverable is not consistent, because the quality of deliverable of a drilling engineer with 15 years experience cannot be compared to the quality of deliverable of a rookie who has just left college and just got employed as a drilling engineer, because sometimes they have to do the same thing, so that's where the quality risk comes. And then, of course, the big one, which is the equipment cost, as a result of unplanned downtime, suboptimal parameters, reactive maintenance instead of predictive maintenance, and then, of course, inefficient allocation. So these are the three types of operational friction. And then the real ROI, return on investment, especially for the oil and gas, is actually in the equipment economics. It's not so much of labor hours saved. This is an insight I got from the chief of AI at Occidental Petroleum, which is called Oxy. So for instance, labor efficiency, if a geologist saves maybe 10 hours per week, that's just some tens of thousands a year. And then equipment performance, for instance, if you reduce the compressor downtime by 5%, that alone will be in hundreds of thousands to millions. All right. So it is never 100% accurate, in short, but you must always subtract the cost of wrong answers from the benefit of the right ones. In safety critical operations, one wrong prediction can cost more than 10 correct ones saved. So your business case must include this calculation. If not, you're overselling. So the Wellbear methodology integrates this safety aspect. Is like, what if the AI fails? What's going to be the impact on safety? If we can't get those answers, then we will. It's not advisable to proceed with implementing that AI, because it could lead to even cost of human lives. All right. So the drilling workflow we just analyzed, we're going to look at the friction points here. And so those friction points, like I said, we've identified 5 of them, right? 4 of them. And then, Olami, if you can read the screen, you can just read what you are seeing. Let's see the first one. The cost of the friction. Remember, don't ask what AI can do for you. Ask, what does this friction cost? That's the way, that's how to ask the right question. Okay. So what do you see as the first friction in the drilling evaluation workflow?
The first friction is shift report compilation.
So Red Rock runs 2 rigs and each is drilling 10 wells per year, right? And then the average drilling time per well is about 20 days. And then the total rig days per year, that is 20 wells times 20 days, which is equal to 400 rig days. And then the shifts per rig, there are 2 shifts, which is day shift and night shift. And then the total shift reports per year will now be 400 times 2, which is equal to 800 reports, right? And so what we did was we say 365 times 2, which is equals to 730. All right. I think that's what's on the slide, right? That's actually how we arrived at that 1,095. 800 reports times 60 minutes, which is equals to 48,000 minutes. Then divide by 60, that's 800 hours per year. So we just made those calculations based on this. And when we talk of their pay, we added other things beyond just their hourly rates, right? So that's how we arrived at that figure. I can give you the details later. Okay, so when we did that, we are talking of $82,000 per year. That is 1,095 hours times $75 per hour, which is 82,125. So this is the point. It's like just people swapping reports, 2 people exchanging reports. But when we down cost it, it's costing us about $82,000 per year. So this is an opportunity where AI can actually eliminate that friction, by some forms of automations, which we'll get to as you look at. So this is actually how to calculate those frictions. I hope that works. Don't worry, I'll send you the detailed stuff that does the calculation so that you'll be able to calculate it. Okay? All right. So the next thing is, let's see, time sync. Okay. The next thing is offset well data search, right? Because there are multiple databases, correct?
Yeah.
Good. So you notice that the information I gave you about Red Rock, about how many barrels they are producing, how many wells they are drilling, we are using all that information now in calculating this. In calculating these friction points, the value of these friction points. You see how it's all connected?
Yeah.
So that's why we gave you all this information, because you were going to be using them to make calculations in the friction points. So Red Rock drilled like 20 wells, and then the geologist spent 3 hours searching for offset data per well. So maybe he will do some in Tetra, then maybe in IHS, comparing internal database and then building comparison plots. So the total hours, because they drilled 20 wells, that is about 60 hours per year, right? And then let's say the average hourly rate of a geologist is $85 per hour. The annual cost will be 60 hours multiplied by 85, which is about $6,000. So this is like one of the smallest friction points, but we include all this to just show us the comparison, how this thing plays. Okay. Just because the data is in 3 separate systems, that is the cost that is translating to the cost of the friction, right? So that's another time sink. Then the last one, I mean, the third one, tell me what you see as the third one.
inconsistent lithology descriptions across geologists.
Yeah. So what do you think makes that happen? Why is the descriptions inconsistent?
When it's being handled between different operators.
Yeah, so it's due to experience. So for instance, I have 20 years of experience, like doing sample description, and you just joined, right? If both of us describe, it can't be the same. My own quality will likely be higher because I have seen this thing thousands of times. You understand? So that my knowledge, how can that knowledge be taken from me so that that process is automated, so that whether you describe it or I describe it, it is consistent? You understand? So that's one of the things AI can do. AI now we have that capability where, the things, the knowledge that people have, we now put it into an algorithm, and, everybody just uses the same process. You understand? So now you'll be wondering, what's the cost of that inconsistent lithology? Okay. So now, when you are doing geosteering is when you are, drilling this very long lateral wells, and sometimes those descriptions are used in placing the well. Now, if the quality of your geosteering is as good as the quality of your, of your data quality, your log, and your descriptions and everything that is used to build that model. So if it is not consistent, there is always a likelihood that a lot of error would come in. And in the Permian Basin, the average cost sometimes of misplacing a well is about $250,000. And I'm going to break that down, how we arrived at that figure. So let's say, well 47, that's one of the wells. There are 20 wells, but this well is called well number 47. Now, when they are doing horizontal or geosteering, they are supposed to stay within the window. There is a window, production window, and all that window is determined by the quality of the interpretation of the logs, of the mod log description and everything. So now, let's say for a 10,000 foot lateral, a well drifts for like 800 feet. 800 feet is about 8% of the lateral in a non-productive rock, because it's supposed to stay within the productive interval. Now, the impact on production is that there will be 8% reduction in the well productivity. So if the well was expected to produce 500,000 barrels of oil per day, that 8% will lead to a lost production of 40 barrels of oil per day. And with the current oil price of $70 per barrel, the daily lost revenue as a result of this quality risk is 40 by 70, which is $2,800 per day. And the annual lost revenue is 2,800 times 365. So you can see that just that quality of interpretation will lead to an annual revenue loss of about $1 million. Right? And beyond that, know that the well declines over time. So in the first year, that's where the impact is highest. So the conservative first year estimate, is about $250,000 lost in value. So this assumes only one misplacement per year out of 20 wells, which is about equal to 5% of the rate. Industry estimates of geosteering related misplacements is about 3 to 10%, right? So this is how this plays out. So when you ask the right questions, it will help you to be able to take the necessary action. So you will discover that when then if by the time we go to the next one, so that's how we arrive at the $250,000. You can see little things, but they all translate into big things. But most times people don't have the time to actually go through this data and this process. So, these are hidden revenue that a lot of companies, are losing. They don't even know. So that's why we are doing what we're doing. Now, if you go to the next friction, which is compressor downtime. I want to see how I can explain this to you. This is equipment costs. This is the way you have the biggest magnitude of revenue loss. They are very, very expensive. And this is part of the things that the well-built methodology integrates into what we do. The traditional AI consultant will just focus on labor costs. But we don't just focus on labor costs. We actually know that labor cost is very small when compared to equipment costs. So when we are doing our return on investment, we pay a lot of attention to these equipment costs. So compressors is a kind of equipment that helps the well to produce, and usually they break down. And when they break down, let's say you were targeting, like, let me just give you this instance. Let's say you were, let's just look at this example here. It says Red Rock, we're going back to the company, has 30 compressors across the 20 wells, 120 well lease. Industry average unplanned failure is about 2 to 4 events per year where these compressors fail. The Red Rock assumption, 4 planned compressor failures per year. Now, average time to diagnose, repair, and restart once these compressors fail is about 18 hours. So you need to identify the failure. You need to mobilize a repair crew, and you need to, diagnose the specific issue. And then, of course, you will need to wait for the parts if needed, and then you perform the repair, you test, and then you restart. So you see, when you go to this impact, you want to calculate the impact of that failure of that equipment per hour. So when the compressors goes down, the wells it serves can't flow gas, right? Then typical compressor serves 4 to 8 wells in the same area. And the average production from those wells is about maybe 50 barrels of oil per day combined. Now, the hourly production lost is 50 divided by 24, which is about 2 barrels of oil equivalent per hour. And with the value of oil being at $70, so the hourly revenue loss from that breakdown of that compressor is about $147 an hour, but this is just like direct production costs, emergency repair crew mobilization costs. By the time you add that, by the time you add the parts and equipment costs, by the time you add the production restart and stabilization time, and then deferred production from the wells that need to be slowly ramped back up, and fully loaded cost per hour of the compressor downtime, everything is about $3,500. So the annual cost for these 4 unplanned failures per year is, let's say the average downtime is 18 hours, is 4 times 18, which is 72 hours. And then when you now multiply that by the fully loaded cost, which is about $3,400, the annual cost is about $252,000. So that's how we arrived at that. Like I said, I'll send you the details of how these calculations were arrived, but these are real things. 72 hours times $3,500 per hour. By the time you calculate it, the total estimated annual friction cost for Red Rock is about $590,000. Now, this is not something people to pay attention to, but if they fix this, it will increase their efficiency, and they will gain a lot of value, by implementing an AI. So once you see the cost of your friction, it now makes it easy for you to decide on making the investments. I mean, if you invest, even if it's 10%, to fix this friction, which is just about $50,000 or $60,000, it is worth it, because at the end of the day, you've been able to estimate where these frictions are, and by the time you do this, the efficiency of your operations will just skyrocket, and your workers' productivity will increase, and your deliverables will be more accurate, and you will just have a very seamless deliverable. The quality of your deliverables will be higher. Okay. All right. Since nobody came with their own work areas they want to map, what I'll do is to move from this slide, but it's worth noting that in your own workflow, ask these questions. Once you have been able to write the workflow and map it, these are the questions to ask. Is this a time sink? How many hours per week? How many people do this? You can calculate it yourself. Is this a quality risk? What happens when it goes wrong? Right? And then what's the dollar impact? That would help you. Then, is this an equipment cost? What's the downtime cost per hour for this equipment, and how often does this happen? So these are very good inputs for you to estimate. Once you're able to use this use this now to estimate your annual costs, which is just the frequency times the duration times the cost rate. It's a very simple formula. So no problem of your own. Can I just apply this to Red Rock's production reporting workflow? I don't have the production workflow here, but this is another thing we can do. So we've looked at the drilling workflow, and we've been able to see 590,000 in terms of value that is being lost. So we can also apply this to the production workflow, to any other workflow within the organization. Okay, monthly volume reconciliation across 120 wells using manual spreadsheets. So all these things will make it very clear to you where you stand when you ask these right questions. What is the friction costing me? Okay, so this is the final model, which is the opportunity matrix. So after you've been able to know how much this friction is costing you, the next thing is the opportunity matrix. And it's just a simple way you approach this is start with the most valuable project, not the most exciting one. And then we'll see how this works out. Okay. Right. So this is the opportunity matrix on the quadrant. Well, my left at the top is actually you plot effort and impact. That's what you are plotting here in this matrix. So you want to ensure that you want to do the quick wins where there is just low effort and you can see high impact. So this is where you can prove value fast. So based on all the friction points we have seen and we have costed, which one can we do with little effort that will have high impact? So that is where to start from. Not the most exciting one or the newest technology, but the one that would, within like 60 days, we're able to do something and we're able to, remove that friction and, create value. So once that's done, before you, move on to the nice to haves, low effort, high impact. And then before you go into the high effort, high impact, which is, this would lead us to talking about the execution, where you plan for phase 2 and 3, and then we always try to deprioritize anything that is high effort, low impact. So this helps you to now know which opportunities that you want to, work on. It helps you to prioritize. So this gives you clarity, because identifying what to avoid is as valuable as knowing what to pursue. So that's what we're talking about here. Okay, so Well, let me just recap. We costed the frictions. After crossing the friction, right now we used what we call the opportunity matrix to know the most valuable project that we should embark on based on this friction. Which one should we tackle first? And the deal is you start with the most valuable project, not the most exciting one. So, and that opportunity matrix, you want to get quick wins, the things that you put low effort and will have high impact. You want to prove value very fast. So that's where you start from. So once you do that, you now go to the nice to haves where you put low effort and low impact. Then the big swings. By the time you are going into the big swings, that means you are going into phase 2 and phase 3. And then we always try to deprioritize the high effort, low impact. So this gives you clarity on how to solve the different frictions that we've observed, and it helps you to prioritize where to start from. These are the things that, a lot of people they just jump into AI, and at the end of the day, they spend so much and they can't see any value. And if you remember in my post, I said 87% of AI projects fail. It's because they are not following a sequenced approach to their AI. They're just being carried away by shiny objects and people wanting to sell software. But what we try to do is we are trying to actually help you solve your problem first. Then is when we know where you are, know your problems, that we can now apply AI. So this is actually what this opportunity matrix is all about. And then from the case study we've had with Red Rock Opportunity, these are the quick wins. These are some things that can easily be done and low effort, and then you see high impact, right? So if, for instance, automated shift reports replace manual Excel with email with auto-generated reports from mod logging data, and this saves you about $82,000 per year, so that your well site geologists are not too stressed, because it's already a stressful job. That will take away their stress. For anybody who is on the field, writing reports is one of their greatest headaches. So, and these are things that can be automated with all the LLMs that are available. We've applied and deployed these in other sectors, and it's not hard. It's a very simple project, but that's the value that it can create. I don't know, or Lami, you use ChatGPT. I hope you know this is possible.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Even Cloud recently implemented Excel. Exactly.
So that's a quick win. Then the offset well data dashboard. We just create a dashboard, a single pane view of all the offset well, just in one place, not having them in different databases. That is also doable. And this saves 60 hours a year in terms of searching and mining data. So those are our quick wins for the Red Rock example. And if you see the roadmap, you see at the roadmap there, phase 1, these quick wins, we try to do them between 0 to 90 days. Anything we can do within 0 to 90 days is not a quick win. So automated shift reports plus offset well data offset well dashboard, we can create that, quickly, right? So the second phase, which is the big swings, those are things you don't rush. Predictive maintenance, like doing this compressor predictive maintenance pilot on maybe 5 units. You can't rush that. That has to be planned, and usually between 90 days to 180 days because of the complexity in terms of the data, in different databases. Machine learning has to be done on vibration, temperature data to predict failures, maybe 2 to 4 weeks before they happen. These big swings, you have to take time to do them, but that is where you get the greatest value. If we fix this, we're beginning about $1 million in revenue. If you remember, we calculated the revenue that we are losing. So if we can fix this with predictive maintenance, that's $1 million revenue dollar that will be added. Now, these are things that you can't rush. So that is why we phase them in our execution roadmap. We phase it. The big swings, don't rush it. Companies sometimes are impatient, and their impatience makes them to just rush things. And at the end of the day, invest so much money, and they cannot see the value. This is one of the reasons a lot of 87% of AI projects are failing. The companies are not following this sequence. They just buy a shiny object from a vendor. Okay, so it's something that is gradual and that you should take time to plan. Then phase 3, of course, this is 180 days plus, so like 1 to 2 to 3 years, because the other opportunity is AI-assisted geosteering plus digital twin integration. These are big projects, but before you jump into those big ones, it's better you want to jump into your big wins and have. I always recommend companies to have like a clear AI roadmap and have budgets for AI for like 5 years, and you break them into phases like this, so that you are approaching the AI implementation and delivery in a strategic way. To do it otherwise, you will be putting money and you will not see the results. So the key thing about delivering AI, both in the oil industry and every other industry, that you don't want it to fail, is to have a clear roadmap and strategy, having the quick wins, having the big swings, and having a clear roadmap. What can we do in 90 days? What can we do in 180 days? What can we do in even 1 to 2 years? Because transformation cannot be rushed. It takes time, and if you do it any other way, you can't get the results and the value will not be created. Okay, so I know that you don't have any of your own problems here, but what I will say is this is a template for you to use, like once you've been able to identify the cost of your frictions, and you can brainstorm and then choose like an AI solution that will take care of that problem, and then rate the business impact, the implementation effort. These are the things you are going to use to, plot your opportunities. What will be the business impact on a scale of 1:10? And what is the implementation effort on a scale of 1:10? So, the AI you want to implement. And once you do this, which quadrant does each one fall in? Then you type your number one quick win into the Teams chat. And then you would have done this exercise if anybody, came with the problems they are facing, would have followed this process. And this would have enabled us to plot opportunities. So these are the steps that, many people have not been able to do, and they've not been able to take action. And I tell them, you're not taking action every year on these opportunities. It's costing you. So this is not something that you can play the ostrich. Is something that would require you to take action. But we have put the Wellbeing methodology to make taking action very easy for you, to help you gain clarity, to know exactly what to do. All right. So let's just go to the next slide. But before we go, we usually start, like I said, with high impact, low effort projects, to recap, and then for the immediate return on investment so that the client is happy. And then once that is in place, we now build the foundation for the transformative big swings. So my recommendation always is for people to have an AI transformation partner that will work with them for a minimum of 6 months if they want to see results. And it could proceed from that 6 months to a year to 2 years to 3 years until the whole company is transformed. Because what is going to be required in the future is actually to have AI kind of embedded in your business operations. And anybody who is not operating at that level will not be able to compete with their competitors who are operating at that level, because all the frictions you are not dealing with, they are dealing with it. They are more efficient, and their quality will be better, and they will be more efficient. And everybody is trying to improve efficiency. And so in times like this where the margins are small, making these investments is very, very important, because if you're able to enhance your efficiency, it's going to increase your margin overall. So we've left you today with a friction costing framework, time sinks, quality sinks, equipment costs. And then also, we've also given you the opportunity matrix for prioritizing AI implementation. And then we walk through a case study, Red Rock, which you can reference and adapt. And then, of course, we've run you through the well-being methodology as your ongoing roadmap. So if you're ready to go deeper, you can contact me because we're working on the oil audit, which is our full diagnostic, covering 8 phases of the well-being methodology with specific vendor recommendations and implementation timelines. So that's where we are right now. That's what we do. And hopefully we'll do the next webinar where we'll demonstrate how this AI-powered system works that just helps you to audit your data. And once it audits your data, it's able to recommend to you the AI implementation and the roadmap, everything very clear. And so that's some of the things we'll be looking at maybe in our next webinar. So my call to everyone is to schedule a free 30-minute problem mapping call, and we'll apply what we've learned today to your specific operation and identify your top 3 quick wins.